Let's Love T-line together. Exam practice at 100 words per minute, entitled Firefighters Appeal for Help from Members of the Public. Going through the words in this passage, I've written them in the order in which they appear, or largely in that order anyway. So we start with the word along. So remember to keep the indicator sharp and to disjoin the O for ong. Speaking, we disjoin that K. Instead of writing the P and then the K joined onto it, which could look like a wobbly P, we disjoin the K and then the disjoined I for ing. Be half, you know half is a special outline, so just HF, so be half. Dry, big difference between the single and the double length strokes. Weather, now that will of course be both types of weather, but the sense of the sentence will tell you which it is. And temperatures, we've had that one before, so temperatures either in full or temps, which is the way we normally abbreviate it. Sword, disjoining the D after an upward R. Picnics, P, CN blend, and then another C and S. Barbecues, you could make your own special outline for barbecues, but I've written it in full there for you, but you can abbreviate it as you wish. Spaces, no explanation needed there. Probs for problems, again, quite a common word for us now. Blaze, I've included that one because remember that we only write a Z when Z begins a word, so just an S for blaze. Firefighters, one of my favourites, just two Fs with an S on the end. It's been around for a while. I think it was originally one of mine, but I may be wrong there. It's been a while since I've seen it written any other way. Reduced, disjoining the D after the upward R again. Frankly, ink, ank, onk, unk. So FR blend, ank, kick the L out of it, I. Reinforcements, so RN blend, FR blend, C, and then the disjoined M for meant. Members special outline, nature, putting it above the line so that the T doubled for R is on the T line. Reserve, doesn't need an explanation, does it? Broad, BR comes together without an intervening vowel, so the D goes inside the B, and of course it's towards the bottom end of the B, so that we know it's a D and not a T. Hill, upward L after an H. Residence. Now, that's quite a common word in the NCTJ exams, so some people just reduce it to the RS. Again, the context would probably tell you it was residence, but if you're not comfortable with it, write it in full. Smouldering, the L goes upwards after an M, the D doubles for R and the disjoined I for ing, and burned, this time there's a vowel between the B and the R, so we write the B and the R, blend in the N and the D. There's a lot of word groupings in this passage, but you will find that the vast majority of them you have done before. However, it is important to go over them again so that they're so very familiar to you. And as I've done before, I will use these same groupings or many of these same groupings in the next video. So you're learning them for this video and for the next video as well. So using that "ank you" for thank you. So in this case, it follows the and. So and you. Again, it's right at the beginning of the passage. So largely these are in the order in which they appear. I have to say, you're just writing I have say. No need for the to. I am pleased to see. You're writing I am pleased to see. There you can think of the D of pleased as also representing the T of to. My name is... As I said in the beginners series, a lot of speakers will start with my name is, and instead of writing it all in full, you can just write MNS, which also says means, but if it's followed by a name, then you know it's your special word grouping for my name is. I have, remember to use the V for have. And then you've got a few combinations here, a number of, large number of, and then large number ders for large number of orders that could be, but in this case it's large number of trees. Exactly the same outline as orders, but because here we're talking about fires and open grassland, you'll know it's trees. That's a good example actually of where one outline could say both, and the context is what tells us what the word says. Next one, we have had. Very simple, common one. We should know that now without any reminders. And then again, a few more. We've got over the past few weeks, where we can change weeks to just WS. If it was months, it'd be MS. If it was years, it'd be YS. And now this is a new one, over the past 2 or 3. Now I think we've used 2 or 3 before, and 3 or 4, and 5 or 6. And all we do there is we write the first number, keep the pen on, put an R upwards for or, and then the second number. So in this case, I've joined the 2 to the T of past. Over the past, keep your pen on, 2, put the R in and join the 3 on. Over the past 2 or 3. Next one, in act for in fact. As a result, we've had that many times before. We have had. I've already included that above, so I've put it in twice. Never mind, twice for good measure. In addition for in addition. A lot of and a lot of people. Next one, I really like this one. Take the opportunity. So change the K of take to a C for swiftness. So TC, and then the special outline for opportunity is OPR. So you don't need the, just take opportunity. If it was take this opportunity, you would include an S inside the curve of the O, take this opportunity. And then, of course, if you wanted to say take the opportunity to have, you can just put a V on the end for have, and you don't need to write the word to. Then we've got in there, which also says in order. Again, the context of the sentence will tell you what it says. Last week, written with the K or without the K. In this area, very common now, but I've added SVD for received. In this area, received. It's the same as in this area, saved, of course. Next one, we were. Look at the difference there between the single W and the second W, which is doubled for R. Over the last. Now, if we change that to over the last decade, we're making the T of last also work as the D of decade. So one stroke doing the work of 2. So we've only got to add the C and the D on. Next one, during this, we've disjoined the I for ing, but we've brought it straight down to make the HS for this. Next one, to the fact that. And then we are expecting. So cross the R with the P to make XP. That's your special outline for expect. And then add your ing for expecting. You can apply that to so many groupings, of course. You are expecting and so on. Next one, over the next few weeks. Remember, the FW blend can sometimes interfere with the previous consonant. So we've written the F and the W separately. And then weeks can either include the K or it can leave the K out. Your preference. A common grouping in the north. North being a special outline. And then a few very, very common groupings of the, of this, and of this week. This is one we've not had before, I don't think. So in the short, now in the short would finish with a T over the top of the R. But we continue to write that T to make it TR and an M. So the T of short has also served to be part of the TR blend for term. Very nice phrase. Next one, I would like, with you kick the L out of like, and then you can add other words. So I would like to stress, I would like to make. Next one, for the moment. I have say for I have to say, no need for the to. A few very common ones, that is, for your, and again another one we've had before, at all times. Now the next one on page 2, start with at the beginning. So you can either write at the beginning or at the and then just an N and an ing. Because when we write begin, it can be an N underneath the line. There are not many outlines that we write underneath the line. You know that it's CS for because and a V under the line for evident or evidence, and an L under the line for a lot of, but also there's an N under the line for begin, and with an ing it's beginning. So at the beginning can be written in either of those two ways, you choose. Next one, of this week, in order to, next day, in the meantime, and you can either put your M underneath for time, that's what I usually do, or you can put an M on the T line for time, which is the way it's represented in some of the textbooks. Members of the public, this is in the very first T line book. It's a very common one, members pub for members of the public. To thank you for to thank you, for your and I would, chopping the wood for that common word would.